With The Last of Us recently getting its own show on HBO Max, a show that has completely decimated most people's expectations as far as its level of success was concerned, I decided to go back and replay not only The Last of Us Part 2, but also The Last of Us Remake, or The Last of Us Part 1. And I played these games right after playing Grand Theft Auto 4 and Red Dead Redemption 2. Playing these 4 games almost back to back really had me thinking about Rockstar and Naughty Dog as developers. Both teams have of course had their fair share of backlash and public pushback, with not too many people being happy with The Last of Us Part 2's narrative, whether that be something as trivial as a story direction Neil Druckmann and Naughty Dog decided to take the story in, or to more respectable arguments like the narrative being fundamentally flawed with its storytelling and pacing being abysmal as far as writing standards go. Then we have Rockstar continuously getting shit for the GTA trilogy and how lazy those remasters were, and how this was the biggest not only blemish their damn near perfect reputation had, but one of the largest slaps in the face with how blatant of a cash grab it was. Something they continue to not be able to live down, which is great. But besides these two, or at least one major fuck up and then the other one just the head of the studio refusing to listen to its community, I think most people would agree these two studios are absolute powerhouses and have become absolute masters at their particular craft. Rockstar alone has perfected their open world formula, with Red Dead Redemption 2 being a prime example. Years after its initial release on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, this game still is being held as the industry standard. The absolute attention to the smallest of details, from the facial animations on characters, the little mechanisms on firearms, how sunshine glows through flesh like ears or noses, wounds being shown in real time with claws from a bear, cougar, or wolf immediately starting to show and ooze blood on Arthur after being inflicted by the wound, or even the wildlife itself going about its business with carcasses of animals starting to be picked clean by the vultures that have been circling over them. The world itself is so massive with so many things to do and see, yet this is a game where Rockstar came into their own with strong narratives. There's no other game that has evoked such emotions out of me like Red Dead Redemption 2 and the story of Arthur Morgan. To see him start off as a cold-blooded thug and pretty much entirely devoted to the gang's well-being, the ultimate enforcer of Dutch's will, to then getting sick while seeing everything he ever lived for starting to crumble all around him. The way Rockstar weaves strangers and side missions into their narrative, and seeing these characters interact with Arthur as the story progresses and his health deteriorates, he has no choice but to watch the gang starting to splinter apart. Meanwhile, every time he tries to get in position to bring everyone back together, he gets put back in his place, reminded that he's no longer healthy and he has to focus on his health. He's put in a position of massive insignificance. Where he once stood at Dutch's side as the beloved, loyal, trusted son, he was now the sick, delusional insubordinate. He's left feeling alone, helpless, betrayed. He has no choice but to reflect on the life he had, the decisions he made living that life, and the unfortunate side of facing death alone. This cutscene right here is entirely optional, requiring you to complete all of the nun's missions from Saint Denis. In this cutscene, he finally faces a grim reality of how he's not only dying, but he is afraid of death itself. He's not invincible. He does have an expiration date and it's approaching fast. He's not ready. This is something he's got to come to terms with, and it's an incredibly hard realization, all while his family, everything he knew, falls apart. I know the Grand Theft Auto series and the Red Dead Redemption series are known for two different things, with the Red Dead Redemption games being more so known for the narrative and immaculate attention to detail, but I do hope this level of care and tear-jerking performances return with Grand Theft Auto 6. I mean, it doesn't have to be sad per se, but I do want this level of care brought to this game's narrative, showing Rockstar's two massive IPs essentially learning and bouncing off each other.
What's wrong?
I'm dying, sister.
Okay.
Yeah, I got TB. I got it. Beating a man to death for a few bucks. You're too smart for me, sister. I guess I'm afraid.
Naughty Dog, on the other hand, has proven themselves time and again that they are the masters of Sony's hardware. From them pushing the PlayStation 3 to its absolute limits with the original Last of Us, to then basically doing the same thing again with The Last of Us Part 2 and the PlayStation 4, maintaining a pretty steady frame rate while providing one of the most graphically insane pieces of games on the platform. It's crazy to me that after playing The Last of Us Part 2, I never thought I'd see the game, whatever, at least in the immediate future, be outdone in terms of graphical fidelity and the attention to detail that Naughty Naughty Dog has brought primarily to the gore, with people actually having entry and larger exit wounds from the gunshots you inflict on them. Only for me to be proven wrong, but The Last of Us Part 1 on the PlayStation 5 provided even more of that, with a level of detail in the dismemberment and gunshot wounds actually oozing blood in real time. Graphically, these games are in a class of their own, specifically because Naughty Dog has been able to produce this level of quality in their games on Sony hardware time and again. Meanwhile, most will say Naughty Dog found their narrative talent with the Uncharted series, but I would argue the blend of gore, incredibly interesting lore, and unbelievable level of photorealism, and at least for the first game, the story allowed Naughty Dog to truly flaunt their creative skills in a multitude of ways. Having Joel's character evolution go from a rough, hardened exterior that has practically been forced to not care for anyone else, since that is nothing but more pain and hardship. This is a world where you really gotta look out for yourself after all, to then developing this incredibly strong father-daughter bond with Ellie, whose infectious, carefree spirit of a 13-year-old girl slowly started to rub off on him. The game is well over 10 years old at this point, if not, it's incredibly close to it, and I would argue the story of The Last of Us and the strong relationship of Joel and Ellie is something that left a mark on an entire generation of players. It's just unfortunate the PC port of this masterpiece was given so little care and attention, as it's one of those games I would say everyone should experience at least one time. Hopefully that ends up getting sorted out soon, because that's a whole massive audience that's really missing out on one of the best stories. I would say the gameplay hands down is even better than all the Uncharted games, but that's just my opinion. But let me know what you think down in the comments. Am I wrong for thinking this way about these two studios? What studio comes to your mind besides these two when you think of riveting narratives mixed with insane graphics? Or do you really think these two, or would you really agree with me and these two are kind of the cream of the crop, with not too many development teams being able to properly mix in these three? I'd love to hear what you have to say about this.
Stop! Stop!
Fucking touch me!
Okay, it's me. It's me. It's me. Look. It's me.
He tried to...
Oh, baby girl. It's okay. It's okay.
Oh.
It's okay.